Welcome everyone to a 10 years, 10 stories interview where I am looking over the last 10 years of my business and chatting to some people who have had an impact upon me and my business along the way. I'm here today with Andre from Color Andre, and Color Andre is a scalable virtual marketing department for emerging technology and medical enterprises. And they immerse themselves in your business and bring the strategic, creative, and production skills to move your business from where you are to where you want to be. Andre is particularly skilled at taking complex technical ideas and creating animation videos and marketing assets that explain really clearly how something works. It's a very unique skill of his. He's innovative, creative, and all-round awesome person, and someone who I feel really lucky to call a friend as well as my colleague. And I'm stoked that he agreed to join me today to have a chat about business. Thanks, Andre, for being here.
Thank you very much, Amy. Always a fan of flattery. Thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure. We've had the luck to work with each other on several projects across the time we've known each other. But I'm interested first to know how you got into your business.
Yeah, so you and I have known each other for a very long time. Actually,
Yeah.
I started doing this way back when I was in primary school. I used to sell drawings at recess to get extra money for lunch money food. And then by the time, probably when we would have first met, when I turned 14, was when I registered my first business to start doing graphic design for local businesses and, parents, fish and chip shops and accounting firms and things like that. And it's just all sort of grown from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've had a very long career too, because you've worked both here in Australia and overseas for a huge range of different projects. What's been a bit of your career journey?
Yeah. So, I mean, going back to that sort of being 14, I literally remember sitting in art class after the whole school had closed. And Rosie, our old art teacher, had just given me the keys and told me to lock the school up when I left. I remember sitting there with a Discman, because that's how old I am, drawing away, going, I reckon someone will just pay me to do this for all of time. So I should go do that. Uh, and I was lucky I left school early. I did night courses and things like that. I got my diploma in 14 months because they gave it to me early because I was already doing it out in the real world.
Yeah.
And then, but like everyone, you're young and dumb and you think you know everything, and then you fall on your face pretty quickly when you realize that you don't. And so it was good to go over to London. I know you spent your time over there
Yeah.
as well, spending 10 years over there, learning from the real big players in the industry and learning on someone else's dime for a while and making mistakes on someone else's dime for a while was nice. And then bringing that back to Australia to really sort of focus uh, on, getting better at the craft, taking that on. I started doing more of the motion graphics work once I got back to Australia, which was really good. That led into medical technology. And I think that's where the fun has really started for me. That's been the last
Yeah.
15 years where I enjoy talking to scientists and engineers about their brand new mousetrap that they've built and how it's going to save the world. And I try and be the interpreter between scientists and engineer geeks can talk for a really long time about their thing and no one understands at all what it does. And then communicating that out to the rest of the world so that people understand how amazing their thing is.
And I think that you are very skilled at that. And I've been fortunate enough to work with you on several projects that have involved exactly that process where we've come together, we've built brand story strategy for a medical technology company who's built some new amazing device that's going to change the world. I want to know what your favorite project is that we've worked on together, because we've had a couple of really good ones. But
Yeah.
what's your favorite project that we've worked on together?
Yeah, well, we've worked on a few, especially in that sort of medical tech space. I think we've done a master copy decks and brand story documents for 4D Medical. Lazaro Medical was another one. They do a procedure for lungs. And then Philia Labs were another one,
Yes.
amongst some other projects. I think the most impressive one that I worked on you with was 4D Medical. And that was when 40 Medical were reimagining themselves from being a kind of smaller research company, really,
Yeah.
to trying to imagine themselves as a multinational medical device company. We're not just a research organization anymore. And I think you really helped them get to the heart of what they do and really understand, what they do matters, but also find the words to communicate that to the outside world. And I think together we were able to help bring them, uh, bring them in and make them feel like they owned it. They've gone on to be a $400 million a year
Yes.
business. But I'm always super happy if the client outgrows me
Yes.
on my job. So they are too big for me. They're off, playing with the big boys now, and that's fine. I've done my job. I've helped them grow, and I think working with people like you to help them be able to expand their minds into what could be has now helped them what they now are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there that, you know, helping a business to grow is why we exist. And part of that is making sure that they're able to communicate their message really clearly to people that matter. And, sometimes the people that matter are the people who are internal to the business because they have to buy into it to be able to communicate it
Yeah,
externally as well, to have the confidence to explain it clearly, to have the confidence that they're building something that's worthwhile and that they have a really clear understanding of who they are, what they're trying to do, and where they're going, and be able to communicate that externally. And that for me is one of my absolute favorite projects that we've worked on together as well,
yeah,
simply because too that the technology is just so interesting. And for me as a brand strategist and a writer, that is one of my favorite things. That's why I do this work, because we get to learn things that we wouldn't otherwise learn about
yeah.
the world from, working with people who are doing really exceptional things.
And it took
So,
me a while to not feel like an imposter in those environments. As a person, I just draw pretty pictures, and,
yes,
I'm in rooms with people that have more letters behind their names than the alphabet. But after a while, I think I'm just now getting old enough and wise enough to realize that I hold my own in that room just fine in the expertise that I bring to it, and the expertise that you bring to it, in that it is all part of the mix. And, no one can do it by themselves. And the best people in business, I find, surround themselves with people that are smarter than they are, things that they aren't excellent at.
excellent at. Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of our jobs as creative people who are marketing and in communications is, it's our job to take something that is not easily understood and make it easily understood.
Mm.
And so we have to be really great translators. And so I think having somebody who sees things differently and is a little bit can come to it objectively is how we find the messaging that's really going to reach the people that are important to the
Yeah.
business, whether that be investors or customers or, whatever that looks like for the business in the
Yeah.
moment. It's
Right.
one of my favorite parts of the job.
Yeah.
So one question that I'm going to be asking everybody in these interviews is what your favorite thing is about working with me. So I love working with you because the work you do is just so innovative. You sit on the cusp of lots of really interesting things that are happening in the technology space. And I always learn something, always. What do you think are some of the favorite things that you have about working with me?
Yeah. I've always said that I think that the passion that you show with all of the work that you do is your number one selling point. I think I enjoy working with people who are passionate about what they do. They care. If you know that they care, you will get a good result. And I never ever have to second guess that. I've always thought that your business name, Heart Communication, is just so spot on.
Yeah,
That genuine, care in your heart, not only about their business, but the outcome that you are helping them to create and how that can affect their business, their family, the wider community. You actually care about that. And I think that you put that into your writing. But the other side of that coin is that I think that care and compassion and empathy uh, comes out in the way that you write. And I think that it encourages other businesses, your clients, to talk in a more human way. And I'm always really big on trying to encourage my clients that I'm a bit like a magpie. I tend to pick up, you know, little bits of gold from all the people that I work with. And there's lots of bits of gold that I've stolen from you completely mercilessly uh,
Thank
about
you.
how to make the work that you do more human.
Yeah.
And just remember that we are talking to humans. I'll give an example is that particularly in the medical technology space, when you're dealing with scientists and engineers, uh, when we were talking about, lung cancer, uh, and we're talking about the noughts and zeros of lung cancer and the mean differentiator and mate, it's someone's mum we're talking
Yeah.
about. It's someone's sister, it's someone's son, it's someone's husband that we are talking about. When we're not talking about numbers on a chart. Now we are, but remember that we are talking to humans. And I thought Water Medical was a really good example of that, where we interjected um, humans at the front. This is what we're doing it for. We're doing it for humans. We're not doing it to make the graph better. I mean, yeah, cool, the graph will get better. but,
Yeah,
but we're
absolutely.
doing it for a person. And I think that's what you do really well and encourage businesses to do really well.
Thank you so much. It's very much part of everything I do and is, one of the reasons for my business name that I definitely leave a little bit of myself in every project that I send out into the world. I'm super passionate about doing that. And I think that we can all get better, even me all the time, at making sure that we're, looking for that human connection and looking for that using words that are human words or the conversational style words that bring people in and on the journey with us. Because I think connection is something it's always been important, but I think that it's going to be more important as we move into this new world of AI. And I suppose I'm skipping ahead a little bit here because I know that you are exceptional at understanding technology. So AI is a field that you are very good at, translating to others and also putting into practice in your business. But it is an interesting thought because connection is actually going to be the competitive advantage moving forward to a certain extent that will balance out AI. And I'm certainly not against AI. I think it's got some amazing applications in creative industries, in writing and design, but it also has limitations. How do you see it? Because I know you've got some great thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about
Yeah,
AI.
me too.
I mean, you know that I use a lot of technology. Uh, I'm generally trying to be as close as I am to the front of these things. You've seen me use hologram projectors and things like
Yes.
in presentations, trying to use different interactive UIs and things like that to present data. We do a lot of work with stuff that would otherwise be really boring data
Yeah.
that we turn into these interactive experiences to get people to understand that data means something to a real human.
Yes.
That is interesting more than just the knots and zeros. AI, I think, is, and I've said this to a lot of people, and I know it might sound, overblown, but it's not. It's as important to humans as the harnessing of fire. I mean, it
Yeah.
will make exactly that much difference. The harnessing of fire brought us the Industrial Revolution. Everything, literally the
Yeah.
camera that we are currently on, the microchips that are, processed to make these computers that make the camera, it's all from that. Now, I'm not so worried about the AI overlords and the Terminator taking over and those sorts of things. It's true, we did get bombs and guns out of the harnessing of fire. It is true. But we also gained 30% life expectancy because of all the outstanding devices that have been created to make our lives easier and simpler and make our bodies stronger.
Yeah.
So I think there's huge amounts of things to look forward to. in terms of business, using AI backed by human intelligence will just augment our ability to produce much more. My son said to me the other day, when I was talking about AI being able to do 80% of what I do, maybe. And they said, "Are you worried about that?" And I went, "No, because I will just do that 20% all day long." So everything's
Yeah.
just pumping there at that same time. So, my children were talking about, am I worried about that 80%? I said, "No, I will do that 20% just all day." So the 5 lots of that 20%. I would
Yes.
rather spend time being creative. Now, if AI can take the mundane tasks out of us, if AI can make my list and do my research that I then have to check, sure, because I'm a human and I care about the accuracy of these things. So you cannot
100%.
rely. And even if it was a junior researcher, if you had a human junior researcher in your office, you wouldn't just take all their work and then present it as yours and then be upset if there was mistakes in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to still admit that it's your work, so you have to review it. But isn't it nice having a junior in the office to do those things that you don't want to do? It's great. So if AI wants
Exactly.
to take that sort of stuff, then absolutely fine by me. I think
Exactly.
we will spend more time being creative.
Yeah. And making those connections. So, it puts humans in charge of making the connections that will then inform AI and how it generates the other 80%. Because I'm with you. I'm not worried about AI. I think it's quite exciting. I think it's going to be I'm really interested to see what it can do as it grows and as it, gets better. I'm watching with heaps of interest the copyright implications of creative people's work within AI. I do think that is going to be a fairly interesting outcome for AI with some of the court cases that are happening in the US at the moment, with, AI having been taught using creative work that's copyrighted. But I do think that is the 20%. If we're talking about how is AI learning, it is learning from the 20% people. It's learning from the creatives who are generating new ideas, who are putting new thoughts and art out into the world. And I do think that, that's the connection part. That's where humans who connect with other humans and we reflect on uh, the human condition and how humans interact with each other. And I don't think AI will ever be able to do that. It will need us. It will need us to be able to do its 80%.
I think there is a chance that I think that we are more likely than not to actually become better humans because of AI. And the example that I would give you is there is already educational technology out there that's been tested in beta right now to be able to teach our students, our young kids, English and math and science and, all of
Yeah.
all those subjects. And the idea at the moment isn't that they are going to replace the teacher. What it means is that the teacher isn't going to have to write a lesson plan that caters for all 20 students. There will be an AI that has an individual lesson plan for all 20
Yeah.
that grows as that child grows at the rate that child grows. And then the human teacher spends time growing our little humans, our most precious little creatures, into being better humans. How do you interact with other people better? How do you empathize? All those sorts of things that AI can't teach.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think I look forward to a world where we're spending more time as humans teaching each other how to just be better humans. Man, the AI can teach us about the zeros and ones. That's literally its business.
Yeah, 100%.
So I
Yeah,
think
I love
it's
that.
a good outcome.
Yeah, it is a great outcome. And I think too, like anything, it's going to be interesting to see how AI changes, business and governments and the world and all of those things. And I think the journey ahead is quite exciting. And thinking about that, we've kind of talked about AI and we've looked a little bit into the future. Let's go back a little bit for a minute. How has your business changed in the last 10 years, do you think? What are some of the key things that have shifted over the last 10 years for you?
I don't know. I think for me, as we're heading into kind of tougher financial times, I think that uh, investment, I mean, this is specifically in my area. I think that investment is harder to get,
Yep.
trying to get new ventures off the ground. If you don't have AI associated with your new venture business idea at the moment, it's almost impossible to get money next to it.
Wow. Yep.
Um, the number of clients that I have at the moment that used to use the term machine learning, or now they totally do AI. I would say 100% AI is what our company does. Uh, I think that's been a real switch. I think that we all go through peaks and troughs,
Yes.
but there's going to be a bit of difficulty for a while as we adjust to any kind of major change.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound doom and gloom because I am really positive about the future. I think at the moment, it'd be a good idea to put your pennies aside if you've got pennies to put aside and prepare to come out on the other side with a bang. Study as much of it as you can. Find out how you can make your business more efficient. Find out the myriad of tools there are out there. And I can share links with, on my LinkedIn profiles. I do this all day long. There's so many tools out there to help businesses streamline now that just didn't exist. And we've got to consider that, this size is, ChatGPT 4 now. ChatGPT 5 that comes out at the end of the year, in terms of the amount of intelligence that it has, won't fit in this room. And
Yeah.
that's the one that comes out at the end of this year. And then it'll increase again and again. So the exponential ability for business to get benefit from it is right there on the doorstep. So
Yeah.
it'll be tumultuous for a while, but there'll be so much advantage to take out of this. I
There
think
will. And I think,
you need to brace for it, but you also need to, you can't poke around the edges of it. It would be my advice. Like embrace it.
yeah, absolutely. And I think what is something that I always reflect on in business, because, business is not for the faint hearted. One of the key skills that you need to have a successful business, and certainly to have been in business for as long as you have, is like the ability to be resilient when things get hard, and also to be open to new opportunities and know how to pivot. Business is problem solving. And the problem today will be different to the problem tomorrow. And some days and other times we're solving really quite big problems that have, the ability to completely reshape how we do business. But in all of those problems is opportunity. And I think that is a key skill, and is definitely the reason that I've managed the last 10 years in this business, especially through COVID with little kids at home and all of those things. The ability to, see problems as opportunities and turn them into a chance to improve or do something better or shake things up, and be innovative and do things in a different way. And when I look back at, the 10 years of my business and the work that I've done, when I first started doing this, nobody knew what brand story was. It was a completely new concept. And even today, everybody knows what brand story and brand storytelling is, but there's not very many people using it as a strategic driver of business and, leveraging off brand strategy or traditional brand strategy. And for me, particularly when I work with lots of small and medium businesses or businesses who are going to be growing into bigger businesses, showing them how they can take brand strategy and link it directly to their marketing efforts and link it directly to all of the other things that they're doing within their business. That to me is the story strategy part. It's the missing link between doing traditional brand strategy, which lots of small and medium businesses don't know how to leverage, and filling that gap between that sort of brand strategy and the marketing strategy or the marketing delivery business growth side of things. And so, you know, I am still loving what I do because I've come at it from a place of solving a problem. And as the problems of the businesses that I work with have changed, I've doubled down on different things in my business to help them solve those problems and fill those gaps. And I think at the end of the day, that's what business needs to be if you want to have a
And I
sustainable business.
and I would encourage all businesses, um, when times are tough, take the advantage of the time that you have to invest in your brand story. It's a thing that takes time. And I know it also takes some money, but investing in your business has never been a bad value spent ever. If you have the time to do it, and some businesses will be finding themselves with a little bit more time
Yeah, absolutely.
than they're used to at the moment. But taking that time to reevaluate your business, listen to experts like Amy explain to you how to best use your brand story, find out what your brand story truly is, or what your essence is, will set the platform up for a strong business growth in your next stage of business. And I would highly encourage anyone who's in a phase where they think that things need to be strengthened up, start with your brand story, and it will give you the platform to spring into a much more successful next phase.
Yeah. And I love that because it really does. It lays those foundations to be able to, whatever your business holds for you next. So whatever way you want to grow, whatever new products you might or services you might want to be looking to introduce, having the foundations of brand story strategy will help you make good decisions in your business and keep you on the path to where you want to go. Even if, as we've talked about, in more challenging economic times, it takes a little bit longer to get there. At least, you're on the right path and every step forward you take is in
That's
the right
part of,
direction.
to your point, that is part of reviewing and pivoting.
Yeah,
In your 10 years of being a business, I know that, if you'd had little time capsules all along the way, it's very different now to what it was 10 years ago. Uh,
absolutely.
you know, uh, and that would be the same for my business over the nearly 30 years that I've been doing this now. Very different. But if you don't take the time to think about these things and lean on, don't think that you can do it all yourself. That's I think we were just talking earlier about, I think the best thing that people can do is lean on the expertise. It's really, as a small business operator, as even a medium-sized business operator, to be fair, as someone who's in charge of that business, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders. There's a lot of decisions that you need to make, and you need to make it better. And we need to make the finances stronger so that everyone's got their money and I don't have to let people go and I can bring more people on and Christmas party will happen and,
Yes.
those sorts of things. Don't be afraid to reach out and use people who are excellent at what they do, leapfrog off their expertise to have a better second stage, third, fourth, review consistently. And I think the work that Amy does for the businesses that we've dealt with together as on clients has really helped them jump forward and do better things.
Yeah, that's amazing. Look, Andre, thank you so much for joining me on my interview series today. I always enjoy our conversations. Like we said before we started recording, we could chat for hours, and we generally do. So I really appreciate you joining me today. And I wish you all the best of success, of course, in the many years to come in your business. For that, I am sure.
You too, Amy. Good to chat.
Awesome. Thanks so much.